Hey everyone, this is Andrew, and in this video we are going to go over the circle of fifths, and I'm going to focus on circle of fifths relative to guitar, but the application goes for any instrument that you may happen to play. Now, a lot of people try to memorize the circle of fifths. Personally, I've always been bad at memorizing things, so I always come up with ways to make it so I don't have to memorize things, or like I can memorize one thing and apply it to a bunch of different other things, and that just helps me when I need to actually use the information that I know. And so I have a blank circle of fifths that I just drew up ahead of time and a guitar fretboard. And so for this, it is assumed that you know all the notes on your guitar, which is very useful regardless. I always recommend that people have the notes on their guitar memorized just for other reasons too. And so yeah, let's just get started. So the way that I think of the circle of fifths is I just think of obviously you know the first note is C, and then it just goes around and the different fifths, the different minor and major keys that are associated with each note. And a lot of people just memorize, C, G, D, A, E, blah, blah, blah. And that's terribly inefficient. So what I do is I literally think in terms of fifths. So what is a fifth? A fifth on guitar is just a power chord. So if you know the notes in your fretboard, you can hit a C, go up a fifth, and that's your next key. And then from that, you know the amount of sharps and flats that go in that key, just from the circle fifth as well. And so I guess I'll just get started and I'll explain it as it goes in, because it's more helpful when I can just show you and just explaining exactly what it is, how you can use it, etc. So we know that the first key in the circle of fifths is C. And I guess I'll write the minor modes in this little, I didn't leave myself enough space, but the way I think of the major relative to minor is that if you know the modes, even if you don't, it helps if you do. You can just kind of think of C, and you go back 2 notes in that key, and you get your minor key. So in this case, C, B, A, so it's A minor. And if you have a different key like G, you would go G, F sharp, E, and it would be E minor. Or you can just think of going back that interval of notes, so C, B, B flat, A, so 4 back in terms of just half steps. Or you can think of half step and a whole step. And that's the way I think of it. I think of it in terms of the actual key. So the way I think about it is I'll say, okay, well the first one's C, how do I figure out the next one? Well, you get a C on your guitar, which is the 3rd fret of the A string. It can be any C you want. I just start lower just so I can keep moving up. And then I want to go up a 5th. So I go up a 5th, and what is that note? That is a G. And that is the next key in the circle of fifths. And then if we want to think of what the minor equivalence is I go back 3 steps to the E. And that's going to be E minor for the key of G. And what does that tell you about the notes in that scale? The main purpose of this is it's an easy way to think about, all the keys relative to each other and the sharps and flats. I always think in terms of sharps just because it's easier. It allows you to figure out what the sharps are in the key. So when you go from C to G, the G has 1 sharp in it. And the way you figure out what sharp that is, it's just the half step down from the actual major key. So it's F sharp. So I should probably grab another color marker here. Let's see, let's do green. This is green, right? Yes. So I'll try to fit everything on in some reasonable fashion. So F sharp is the sharp note in that key. So now we have G, right? So we started our G note, we go up a 5th. And we have the D. So that is the major mode for the next progression in the circle of fifths. And we want to figure out the minor. So we go back to the 3, and we go to the B. So the minor is B minor. And we want to figure out what the sharps and sharps are in this key. And we keep the sharp from the previous key and add on the flatted note of the major key. So we still have F sharp. It's a bad F. And then we also have C sharp. So you can see how this game is played. Now, obviously, in the guitar, you have a weirder jump here. So we're going up to the 10th fret, and that is the A. So now we have A major. And if we go back 3 notes, we have F sharp minor. I wish I had smaller markers, but that is F sharp minor. And the same deal with this. We still keep the F sharp. We still keep the C sharp, and then we add a G sharp. And then we just keep going. So we go to the next step. that is going to be an E. So now we have E major, and we go back 3 steps, and that is going to be, well, see, to the 9th fret, which is a C sharp, so C sharp minor. And what do we do here? We do the same exact thing. We get F sharp, C sharp, G sharp from the previous one, and then we add an D sharp, which is just the flatted note. That's D sharp. And then when I get to this point, I want to jump back down because I don't, you're running out of, it's easier to think of in terms of power chords, at least for me. Now, if you're on a piano, you know what fifths look like as you go up and down the piano, so you can just think in terms of that, and this part of the notation will be different, but you can easily kind of figure that out. So just think in terms of fifths, go up, and then you can fill in your circle of fifths that way. So if I go back down to the 7th fret A, that is an E. So now we're kind of restarting our pattern. We go up to B major. And then so we go down, and the minor one is actually a G sharp minor. So this is where it starts getting a little weird. That is G sharp. I'm sorry that it's so small, but I guess you guys can deal with that. But that is a G sharp minor, sorry. And so same thing with this. We have our, I don't want to keep writing this, so I'm just going to do ... A sharp. So we keep all these, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, and then we add an A sharp. And then now to go up from B, we go up to F sharp. So now we have F sharp as the actual one, and then we go down 3 notes, so F sharp, down to E flat. So I would just call that D sharp. Because I don't know, I've never liked flats, just too much stuff. So then ... and then down from F sharp is going to be an F. So yeah, that's not even, it's actually does that. So yeah, so we kind of reset our pattern there, but at some point it does reset. You just kind of have to think of the note. So if I think in terms of F sharp, what I think about is here, and then major, so we have F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, then we have C sharp, right? And then we go up, so then we go up to E, and then we go to F sharp. And so and so we still keep, here's the F sharp, obviously, since the key of F sharp, we have our G sharp, we have our A sharp, we have our B, we have our C sharp, and then we have an F. And so, eventually this is going to start getting a little more confusing because you keep carrying this stuff. Eventually you just have mostly sharps. I mean, already here we have 5 sharps, so things start getting dropped off. So now, but you can still keep this pattern going along. So we have this C sharp here, and then sorry, this is F sharp. So now we're going up to C sharp. So we're going right here, the 14th fret, and so we have C sharp. And then if we go down 3 frets, that's going to be, what is that, a B flat or an A sharp. So we have A sharp minor. And I'm not going to keep continuing this. You guys can figure that out. Because, eventually it starts to reset. But, learning these notes is less important because once you get into, these keys are less used. If I'm writing in a key, I'm, typically using, just for guitar at least, A minor, E minor, B minor. Well, I think in terms of the majors too, but, F sharp minor, C sharp minor. That's just the way I think about it. So once I start getting to this point, it's like just kind of wacky, but we'll continue this. So, I mean, if you wanted to continue this, you would start having a C here. And just to kind of prove and see how the other notes are coming along, so we have a C sharp major. So C sharp starts here, and then we go C sharp. We still have that. We have, I'm just going to color this in. These are going to be the notes of our major mode here. So we have our C sharp, we have our D sharp, and here we have an F, retain that from the last one. We have E, which is normal. We have a G sharp, retain that. This is a B, and that is a C sharp. So, we still have all the notes from before. So, it still carries along. Now it's ... And then at this point, it gets, again, this gets messier and messier. But so we go to the C sharp again, which is, I'll put it right here, go up a 5th. What is that? That is a G sharp. A flat. So I'm just going to call it, oh, G sharp. Now if I find a G sharp here, the minor one is going to be an F minor. You know, this is all repetition, so I'm sorry this is getting a little dull at this point, 10 minutes along, just going in a circle. And then I guess I'll just kind of blow through this a little more quickly. So we have a G sharp, where is that? I'm going to call that here just for ease, and then we're going to go here, and that is a D sharp. You know, once you start getting here, everyone in the circle of fifths calls them flat. So you can call this D flat, you can call this A flat, you can call this E flat, and then so if we go to right here, which we already have colored in, I think I did it for the key. So we have E flat, and then we're going up, and we have a B flat or an A sharp. And then, oh, sorry, I forgot the D sharp minor key. So if we go to a D sharp right here, we go down, we have a C minor. And then the B flat, I'll start here, we have a G sharp. Sorry, we have, this is A sharp, we're going down to G, so we have a G minor. And then I'll pick this one right here, that is an A sharp, and then we go up and we get an F. So now we're at F major, and then we can also call that D minor. Just think of going in terms of this is an F going down to D minor. So now our fretboard is a complete mess, and this guy's all filled in, and the flats just keep continuing in that fashion, of course. You know, you can get representations of the different notes relative to each other because, you know, we think of the sharps. Actually, I'll scroll down here so you can see what happens. So first one, I have an F sharp. If I go up a fifth, I'm going to get a C sharp. If I go up a fifth, that was stupid of me. You go up another fifth from C sharp, so C sharp, and then we get a G sharp. So now we get G sharp, and then we go up another fifth, and then from that we get a D sharp, and then it just keeps continuing. So as you see from here, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. So if you want to figure out the sharps or flats, whatever, in an easy, quick way, you can just do this. Just think in terms of fifths, and then you can figure out, you know, call it power chords and stuff. And you go up like that. And this, you know, you don't have to memorize the whole C, G, D, F, blah, blah, blah. You can just figure it out yourself whenever. So if for some reason you need to recall the circle of fifths, or you need to be able to recall the amounts of sharps in a certain key, or you just need to know it for some reason, you can do it this way. And so just to kind of make a little, I guess, quiz question here, I'll go to the bottom. So if I were to say how many, I guess, you know, I'll tell you to figure this out before I answer it. So let me try to get that out of view. So now I'm going to say in the key of E major. What are the sharps? So think about that right now, pause it, and then I'll do it. All right? So 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go over it. So I hope that you actually tried that. So you can think in terms of the circle of fifths. So you just think of C, C, go up a fifth, go up to G, go up a fifth from G to D, go up a fifth from D to A, go up a fifth from A to E, and you have E. And so, you know, you kind of retain the sharps in your mind as you go along. So you can think in terms of that. But once you get to, you know, you have a flatted of this, so you know there's a D sharp, right? And just to go to C to G, D, A, E, you got 4 others, and then you can think of the flats of all those. So you know you're going to have that F sharp from the G, you're going to have that C sharp from the D, you're going to have that G sharp from the A. Bam. You know, I don't necessarily think of it like that all the time because I do have this memorized to an extent just from doing this for so long, but that's how I derive it. And eventually some of these just stick in your head without you having to force memorize them. And then if I was to say, what are the, let's do just D. So D major. Now these are the more common keys. It's very rare that you're going to be playing in G sharp, especially as a guitarist. Maybe, you know, piano player a little different, but you can just think of it in that terms if you want. But so I happen to know that D major, you know there's going to be a C sharp in there, definitely. And then you kind of retract and you know that there's going to be that F sharp there from the G right before. So you can kind of go down. So like you think of D, and then you go G, and then you go C. So you know you have that the two sharps from those two, and then you're back to C. So you have a C sharp from the D, and F sharp from the G, and then you're back to C. So these are going to be your only two ones. I'll circle these for consistency. And that's pretty much that's really the only application that I know of the circle of fifths. But that's how I think about it. And I've never had to do anything more than that. You know, it's very rare you're going to ever have to think about this stuff. But playing in the key of E major and you don't have your guitar with you, you just visualize that in your head. You just think, okay, so C to G, G to D, D to A to E. So there's going to be 4 different sharp notes. And then you know you have the G, so you have the F sharp, the D, the C sharp, the A, the G sharp, and then the E is going to give you the D sharp. So those are your sharp notes. And that's how I think about it. And I think that makes it much easier than the way that a lot of other people teach it. I don't like memorizing anything just because I've never had a great memory with random things like that. I'll just forget them over time. This way, you can guarantee that you never forget it. And I didn't have to look up this stuff ahead of, I have a picture up in front just to make sure I didn't do any stupid mistakes and teach you guys things wrong. But I didn't have to practice this. I started doing this, let's see, I've been playing guitar for about a decade. I started doing this when I was playing for about 2 years, and I was heavy into music theory at that moment. And I really haven't learned any music theory past, about 7 or 8 years ago. And because I do stuff like this is why I don't forget it. It's better to retain these general concepts than it is to just memorize, G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A minor, F, or the flatted versions. It's much easier to just memorize this concept, just going up fifths, thinking of the notes, thinking of one flat from there, and they keep stacking up as you go on. That's what I think is the best way to learn it. And things like this also apply for other ways of music theory or other areas of life. Like in college, I do stuff like this all the time to make it a little easier. In terms of modes, you can think of it this way too, and to a certain extent. And yeah, also if you know that a certain mode in C, you bring it up a fifth, and that's the mode in G, blah blah blah, and keeps carrying over to certain aspects. So just be creative with it and use it in different areas, and this can kind of save you a lot of needless memorization. So I think that's about everything. This video is pretty damn long at this point, so thank you for watching this long of a video. If you like this video, please leave a like, favorite it if you really liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and also feel free to let me know what other stuff you would like to know or what other videos you would like me to do in the future. I definitely rely on my comments for video suggestions because, I have all this random music knowledge and I don't necessarily know what part of it people have issues with, and I can help you out. So, yep, thank you very much, and I will see you guys later. Bye.